With the NBA season about to tip off, let's go over how each team is looking to start the new season. As you may probably know, a lot of big names have moved west to join other superstars. Because of course, you need a super team to defeat Kevin Durant and his super team, the defending champion Warriors, right? But before we begin, there is something to note. The NBA D-League is being rebranded as the NBA G League as the team now expands to 26 teams, and eventually to 30 teams, which would allow every NBA team its own affiliated minor league farm team. So with the growth of the NBA G League, it has allowed NBA teams to have 2 extra roster spots specifically designed to sign players to what is being called a two-way contract. The players signed will spend most of their time with their team's NBA G League affiliate, but are allowed to spend up to 45 days of the regular season with their NBA teams. But only players with 4 years or less of NBA experience are eligible for this new two-way contract. So without further ado, let's get you guys ready for the new season. Let's start with the East with the Atlanta Hawks. Point guard Josh Magette was signed to that newly introduced two-way contract. Veteran shooting guard Marco Bellinelli was traded along with center Miles Plumlee and a 2017 41st overall pick from Charlotte. For star center Dwight Howard and the 2017 31st overall pick. And young guard Tyler Dorsey is that 41st overall pick. They signed small forward Luke Babbitt. Young small forward Nicholas Brusino was claimed off waivers. Young power forward John Collins was the Hawks' 19th overall pick. And they also signed center Dwayne Dedmon. Now the Boston Celtics, who were the first place team in the East last season. Their big move was picking up star point guard Kyrie Irving, who was traded with the 2020 second round pick from the Cavs for all-star point guard Isaiah Thomas, forward Jay Crowder, center Ante Zizic, and the rights to the Brooklyn Nets 2018 first round draft pick. They signed point guard Shane Larkin. Young shooting guards Kadeem Allen and Jabari Bird were drafted in the second round and then signed two-way contracts. Their next significant pickup was small forward Gordon Hayward, who signed a big 4-year deal. Forward Marcus Morris was traded from Detroit for guard Avery Bradley and a 2019 second-rounder. Young forward Jason Tatum was the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft. Young forward Abdel Nader signed a 4-year deal after impressive seasons with their D-League team. Young forward Semi Ojeleye was a second-round 37th overall draft pick. German power forward Daniel Theus has signed after successful seasons in his home country. Gershon Yabusel is a young power forward who was their 2016 16th overall pick and has finally signed. And they also signed center Aaron Baines. So it seems like it's going to be a new-look Celtics team led by Kyrie, which was a reason why he wanted to be traded. Next we have the Brooklyn Nets. Young point guard D'Angelo Russell was traded with center Timofey Mozgov from the Lakers. For the longtime net center Brook Lopez and the rights to the young power forward Kyle Kuzma, who was the 27th pick of the 2017 draft. Jacob Wiley is a young guard who signed a two-way contract. Shooting guard Yakuba Uwatera also signed a two-way contract. Swingman Alan Crabb was traded from Portland for forward Andrew Nicholson. And small forward DeMar Caro was traded with the 2018 first and second round picks from Toronto for center Justin Hamilton. 19-year-old power forward Jared Allen was his 22nd overall pick in the draft. And center Tyler Zeller signed a multi-year deal. On to the Charlotte Hornets. They signed point guard Michael Carter-Williams. Young guard Marcus Page signed a two-way contract. They also signed guard Julian Stone. Young shooting guard Dwayne Bacon was traded with cash from the Pelicans. For the 31st pick, young point guard Frank Jackson on draft night after being picked in the second round. 19-year-old shooting guard Malik Monk was the 11th overall pick in the draft. Power forward Mangok Mathiang is the one who signed the other two-way contract. And their big addition is veteran center Dwight Howard, who was traded with the 31st pick from Atlanta. For guard Marco Bellinelli, center Miles Plumlee, and the 41st overall pick of the draft. Now for the Chicago Bulls. We start with a huge trade that involves young guards Zach LaVine and Chris Dunn and the rights to 7th pick Lauri Markkanen, who is a young Finnish power forward. Sending their star Jimmy Butler and the rights to 16th pick center Justin Patton to Minnesota. Young point guard Ryan Arcidiacono signed a two-way contract. Another young point guard Kay Felder was claimed off waivers. Young guard Antonio Blakeney also signed a two-way contract. Justin Holiday is a guard who signed a 2-year deal. Young guard David Nwaba was claimed off waivers. Swingman Quincy Pondexter was traded with a 2018 second-round pick and cash considerations from New Orleans for the rights to center Adder Majok. So, we have a new-look Bulls team. Now for the Eastern Conference champions, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their big move was acquiring all-star point guard Isaiah Thomas, who was traded with small forward Jay Crowder, young center Ante Zizic, and a 2018 unprotected first-round pick from Boston for star point guard Kyrie Irving. And they signed point guard Derrick Rose. They also signed veteran point guard Jose Calderon. And their biggest signing was veteran guard Dwayne Wade, who has decided to reunite with LeBron. John Holland is a guard who signed a two-way contract. They signed young forward C.D. Osman, and also signed veteran forward Jeff Green. So a bunch of upgrades to an already stacked Cavaliers team. Next is the Detroit Pistons. Guard Avery Bradley was traded with a 2019 second-rounder from Boston for forward Marcus Morris. Dwight Bikes is a guard who signed a two-way contract. Guard Langston Galloway signed a 3-year deal. Luke Kennard is a young shooting guard who was the 12th overall pick in this year's draft. Young swingman Luis Montero signed a two-way contract. They signed veteran forward Anthony Tolliver. And power forward Eric Moreland signed a 3-year deal. Onto the Indiana Pacers. Point guard Darren Collison signed a 2-year deal for a second stint with the team. Point guard Corey Joseph was traded from Toronto for the rights to forward Emer Proudsit. Young point guard Edmund Sumner signed a 2-way contract. And now the big trade, guard Victor Oladipo was traded along with young power forward Domantas Sabonis from OKC for their star Paul George. Swingman Bojan Bogdanovic signed a 2-year deal. The next signing is quite interesting with 37-year-old veteran swingman Damian Wilkins, who is the nephew of Dominique Wilkins. He made his first NBA roster in 4 years after a successful preseason with the team. Young forward Alex Poythress signed a 2-way contract. Young power forward TJ Leaf is the 18th overall pick in the draft, and their second-round pick, 18-year-old center Ike Anigbogu. So a bit of a new-look Pacers team. Next is the Miami Heat. Young point guard Derek Walton Jr. signed a 2-way contract. They signed young shooting guard Matt Williams. Young power forward Bam Adebayo is the 14th overall pick in the draft. They signed young power forward Jordan Mickey. Center A.J. Hammonds was traded from Dallas for forward Josh McRoberts, a 2023 second-rounder, and cash considerations. And center Kelly Olynyk inked a 4-year deal. Now the Milwaukee Bucks. Young shooting guard Sterling Brown was traded from the 76ers for cash considerations. Shooting guard DeAndre Liggins was claimed off waivers. Young power forward DJ Wilson was the 17th overall pick in the draft. So as you can see, pretty much no moves for last year's 6th place team in the East. The New York Knicks signed veteran point guard Jarrett Jack. Also signed veteran guard Ramon Sessions. 19-year-old point guard Frank Ntilikina was the 8th overall pick in this year's draft. Shooting guard Tim Hardaway Jr. has returned to the Knicks on a 4-year deal. Young shooting guard Damian Dotson is a second-round pick. And the big trade with small forward Doug McDermott, center Enes Kanter, and a 2018 second-round pick from OKC for their star Carmelo Anthony. They signed forward Michael Beasley, and young power forward Luke Horney signed a 2-way contract. The Orlando Magic signed guard Shelvin Mack to a 2-year deal. Veteran swingman Aaron Aflalo is back with the Magic for the second time. Young swingman Jamal Artis signed a 2-way deal. Swingman Jonathan Simmons signed a 3-year deal. And young swingman Wes Iwundu is a second-round draft pick at 33rd overall. Young forward Jonathan Isaac is a 6th overall pick. Adrian Payne is a power forward who signed a 2-way contract. They signed power forward Kem Birch and signed veteran center Maurice Spates. Now for the Philadelphia 76ers. 19-year-old guard Markelle Fultz is the 1st overall pick in the 2017 NBA draft. Point guard Jacob Poeltl notched a 2-way contract with the Sixers. Veteran sharpshooter J.J. Redick signed a large 1-year, $23 million contract. Young Turkish shooting guard Furkan Korkmaz was Philly's 26th overall pick in last year's draft and has come over from Europe and officially signed with the team. They signed power forward Amir Johnson, and young power forward James Michael McAdoo signed their other 2-way contract. And now for my Toronto Raptors. Lorenzo Brown is a guard who signed a 2-way contract. Our big move was getting veteran swingman C.J. Miles, who has signed for 3 years. Then small forward OG Anunoby is a 23rd overall draft pick. We signed young small forward KJ McDaniels, signed small forward Alfonso McKinney, and young forward Malcolm Miller signed the other 2-way contract. And we end off the East with the Washington Wizards. Guard Tim Frazier was traded from New Orleans for the 52nd pick of the draft. Shooting guard Jody Meeks notched a 2-year deal. Swingman Carrick Felix has signed after a good preseason. Young swingman Devin Robinson signed a 2-way contract. They signed power forward Mike Scott, and power forward Mike Young is the other 2-way contract signee. Moving to the West, we start with the Dallas Mavericks. 19-year-old point guard Dennis Smith Jr. is the 9th overall pick from the draft this year. They signed young guard Gian Clavel. Young forward Jonathan Motley signed a 2-way contract. Veteran forward Josh McRoberts was traded along with the 2023 second-round pick and cash considerations from Miami for center A.J. Hammonds. They signed German power forward Maxi Kleber and signed center Jeff Whiffy. Next, the Denver Nuggets. Young point guard Monte Morris was a second-round pick and signed a 2-way contract. Swingman Torrey Craig also signed a 2-way contract after impressing with their summer league team. Their significant signing was star power forward Paul Millsap, who signed a big 3-year contract. Young power forward Trey Lyles was traded with the draft rights to fellow young power forward Tyler Lydon from Utah. For the draft rights to young guard Donovan Mitchell. Onto the first place team in the West, the 2016-2017 Western Conference champions and NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. Young point guard Quinn Cook signed a two-way contract. Signed veteran shooting guard Nick Young. Signed forward Omri Caspi. Young power forward Jordan Bell was picked in the second round 38th overall by the Bulls and traded to Golden State for cash considerations. And young power forward Chris Boucher signed a two-way contract. So only a couple additions for the defending champion Warriors. The Houston Rockets have acquired veteran star point guard Chris Paul. He was involved in a huge trade that sent 7 players to the LA Clippers. They are guards Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, Darren Hilliard, DeAndre Liggins, and forwards Sam Dekker, Kyle Wiltjer, Montrezl Harrell, a protected 2018 first-round pick, and cash considerations. And now they have the dynamic backcourt duo of CP and James Harden on a Houston team that's already so strong. They signed young point guard Demetrius Jackson on a two-way contract. Veteran small forward PJ Tucker signed a 4-year, $32 million deal. They signed veteran forward Luke Mbamute. Young power forward Joe Chi was a second-round pick of the Rockets in 2016 and has come over from China to officially sign with the team. Power forward Tarek Black has signed for a second stint with the Rockets. And on to the LA Clippers. And we have that trade that sent guards Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, Darren Hilliard, DeAndre Liggins, forwards Sam Dekker, Kyle Wiltjer, Montrezl Harrell, a protected 2018 first-round pick, and cash considerations from Houston, all for star point guard Chris Paul. Young point guard Jawoon Evans was picked in the second round 39th overall by the 76ers and traded to the Clippers for cash. And a EuroLeague veteran guard Milos Teodosic signed a 2-year contract. Young guard Sindarius Thornwell was picked in the second round of the draft by Milwaukee and traded for cash. Shooting guard CJ Williams signed a 2-way contract. Forward Danilo Gallinari was involved in a 3-team trade with the Clippers, Denver, and Atlanta that sent shooting guard Jamal Crawford, center Diamond Stone, and a 2018 first-round pick to Atlanta, and a 2019 second-rounder from Atlanta to Denver. Forward Jamil Wilson signed a 2-way contract, and they also signed center Willie Reed. So as you can see, lots of changes for the Clippers. Now let's check out the Los Angeles Lakers. 19-year-old point guard Lonzo Ball was picked second overall in the draft and will lead them to the championship. Young shooting guard Kentavious Caldwell-Pope signed a 1-year, $18 million contract. Young guard Alex Caruso signed a 2-way contract. Young shooting guard Josh Hart was selected 30th overall by Utah and traded with the 42nd pick young center Thomas Bryant of the Jazz. For the Lakers' 28th pick, 19-year-old center Tony Bradley. Young forward Kyle Kuzma was a 27th overall pick by the Knicks, and then traded along with veteran center Brook Lopez for young guard D'Angelo Russell and center Timothy Mozgov. And they also signed veteran center Andrew Bogut. Now for the Memphis Grizzlies. Guard Mario Chalmers has returned from injury and a 1-year hiatus and signed with the team. Young shooting guard Ben McLemore has signed a 2-year deal. Young guard Kobe Simmons has signed a 2-way contract. They signed swingman Tyreek Evans. Young swingman Dylan Brooks was drafted by Houston in the second round in the draft and traded for a 2018 second-round pick. Young power forward Vince Hunter will be their other 2-way player. Young power forward Ivan Rabb was picked in the second round 35th overall by Orlando, but traded over to Memphis for a 2019 second-round pick. The Minnesota Timberwolves got Jeff Teague signing a 3-year deal. And then his backup with the Pacers, Aaron Brooks, has also signed with the Timberwolves. And then the huge pickup star wingman Jimmy Butler, who was traded with the 16th pick, young center Justin Patton, from Chicago for young guards Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and the 7th pick, young Finnish power forward Lauri Markkanen. So how do you like the big three of Butler, Wiggins, and Towns? But wait, then how about the addition of the 6-man veteran shooting guard Jamal Crawford signing on a 2-year deal? They also signed young shooting guard Marcus Georges-Hunt. Swingman Anthony Brown is their 2-way player. Next is the New Orleans Pelicans. They signed veteran point guard Rajon Rondo. 19-year-old point guard Frank Jackson was drafted in the second round 31st overall by Charlotte, and then traded for another second-rounder young shooting guard Dwayne Bacon and cash. They signed guard Ian Clark. Young shooting guard Charles Cook signed a 2-way contract. Veteran swingman Tony Allen has signed after many seasons with the Memphis Grizzlies. Young swingman Jalen Jones has also signed a 2-way contract. Small forward Darius Miller signed for a second stint with the team after successful seasons in Europe. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, they signed the veteran guard Raymond Felton. Young guard PJ Dozier signed a 2-way contract. 19-year-old swingman Terrence Ferguson was their first-round, 21st overall pick. Young swingman Daniel Hamilton signed a 2-way contract. Now for the superstars, starting with small forward Paul George, who was acquired from Indiana for guard Victor Oladipo and young power forward Domantas Sabonis. And then veteran small forward Carmelo Anthony. He has joined after a trade that sent small forward Doug McDermott, center Enes Kanter, and a 2018 second round pick to the Knicks. So now OKC has a big three of Westbrook, PG, and Melo. Unbelievable. And they added power forward Patrick Patterson, signing on a 3-year deal, and young center Dakari Johnson, who was drafted in the second round back in 2015, and is signed after a couple successful seasons with their G League affiliate, the Oklahoma City Blue. Moving on to the Phoenix Suns. Point guard Mike James has signed a 2-way contract. Shooting guard Troy Daniels acquired through a trade with the Grizzlies. The Suns got Daniels and a 2018 second round pick, and Memphis got a conditional 2018 second round pick. Young shooting guard Devon Reed was a second round 32nd overall pick. Young small forward Josh Jackson was the 4th overall pick in the draft this year. Young forward Alec Peters was a second round pick and signed a 2-way deal. So it seems not many changes for the team that finished last in the West last season. The Portland Trail Blazers signed shooting guard CJ Wilcox to a 2-way contract. Young power forward Caleb Swanigan was a 26th overall pick. 19-year-old center Zach Collins was the 10th pick in the draft by Sacramento, and then traded for the 15th pick young small forward Justin Jackson, and the 20th pick 19-year-old power forward Harry Giles III. So there was barely any movement for the Blazers too. Next is the Sacramento Kings. Veteran point guard George Hill has signed for 3 years, $57 million. 19-year-old point guard De'Aaron Fox was the 5th overall pick in the draft. Young point guard Frank Mason III was a second round 34th overall pick. Serbian shooting guard Bogdan Bogdanovic was originally selected by Phoenix 27th overall in the 2014 draft, and his rights got traded to the Kings in 2016. And then after a very successful career in Europe, he has finally signed with the Kings on a 3-year deal. And then 40-year-old veteran swingman Vince Carter has signed and is entering his 20th season. Young swingman Jakar Sampson signed a 2-way contract. Young small forward Justin Jackson was picked 15th overall by the Blazers and then traded along with the Blazers' 20th pick, 19-year-old power forward Harry Giles III, for the Kings' 10th pick, 19-year-old center Zach Collins. Veteran power forward Zach Randolph signed a 2-year deal after many seasons with the Grizzlies, and power forward Jack Hooley will be their other 2-way player. And now for the San Antonio Spurs. Their first round pick, 29th overall, was young guard Derek White. They signed shooting guard Brandon Paul, signed young shooting guard Darren Hilliard on a 2-way contract. Their significant pickup was veteran small forward Rudy Gay, who signed a 2-year deal. Young power forward Matt Costello signed a 2-way contract as well. Power forward Joffrey Laverne signed on a 2-year deal. And finally, we have the Utah Jazz. They picked up point guard Ricky Rubio from Minnesota for a 2018 first-round pick. Point guard Nate Walters signed on a 2-way contract. Young shooting guard Donovan Mitchell was drafted by Denver 13th overall, then traded for the 24th pick young forward Tyler Lydon and young power forward Trey Lyles. Veteran swingman Thabo Sefolosha has signed for 2 years. They've signed young small forward Royce O'Neal. Forward Eric Griffin signed a 2-way contract after impressing in the Summer League with the team. Picked up forward Jonas Jerebko on a 2-year deal. Center Akit Nudo got himself a 2-year deal after finding success in Europe in the past couple seasons. And 19-year-old center Tony Bradley was a 28th overall selection by the Lakers and traded for the 30th pick young shooting guard Josh Hart and second-round pick young center Thomas Bryant. So I hope that helped you get set for the 2017-2018 NBA season. And good luck to your teams. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll tune in to the next episode.